So my parents came from South Korea in the 60s, and they brought me with them when I was only 100 days old, which in the Korean culture is, 100일 was what they call it. That's 100th day. And on the 100th day, we were landing at LAX. And of course, like most people who immigrate to this country, they don't have a whole lot. They can't bring their whole household from another country. And so they came with very limited, things and just a couple suitcases. And we grew up in an area called the Rampart District, just a few blocks away from the original Tommy's Burger. And so that's where we were, and that's where we grew up, and we were thinking, this is it. We came to America, but that was just the beginning of what our parents' dreams were. And so their dreams were basically to send their kids, everybody has a dream, whatever that dream is, right? I mean, when you're a little kid and you got teachers and pastors and who else? Church, leaders and Boy Scout leaders, they always ask little Johnny or little Sammy or little Mikey, when you grow up, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And they'll say, well, I want to become an astronaut, right? Or I want to be an NBA basketball player. I'm going to be an Olympic gold medalist. I'm going to be the president of the United States. And they have these big, big dreams. And for my parents, it wasn't quite those dreams. Their dream was to come to America and give their kids an opportunity to just get an education. And traditional, I think, Asian parents, want their children to become doctors or lawyers. And so there's that cultural pressure, right, where you have to become a doctor or lawyer. And there's so much taught about respect in the Asian culture that you can't tell your parents that you want to do something else, right? That you want to do your own thing, right? You want to pursue your own dreams. And it was such a difficult upbringing because you couldn't talk back to parents, right? And say, well, I don't want to be a doctor, right? Or I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to become a movie star, or I want to become a paramedic or a fireman or a policeman or even a Navy SEAL. It was absolutely out of the question. So my dream at the end of the day was to help people, in some way. Wasn't quite sure how I was going to help people, but I knew my number one passion was helping people, right? Number two is getting people to realize their greatest potential and who they are and how they're wired. I believe that every person is wired for success, but they're just programmed to fail. So many, long story short, with all the social pressure in the house of going to college and getting a degree, I was not the smartest kid, right? I mean, most people think that Asian people are all really good at math and they're super smart. And I wouldn't say that I was academically smart, right? I was not a summa cum laude. I was never a 4.0 student. In fact, I was probably half of a 4.0 student. But I managed to graduate. I went to college and I got into corporate America. And I did, the things that most people do, is to find a job and start paying off their student loans and, trying to save some money. And that became a difficult task. And then you just wonder, is there a way to become rich? Is there a way to become successful financially? But I met the best person of my life. And that one person that I met was actually my wife, right? And I think that when you find the love of your life, right, that partner that has the similar goals and the dreams and the things that they see your vision, you can do big things together. And so, when I asked her, what do you want to do? And she says, well, let's start our own business. And so we started a company back in 1991. And, we're just two young kids just trying to make enough money to pay our bills and become financially secure. We weren't looking to become billionaires, right? We weren't ever looking to become a celebrity or anything like that. We just wanted to have enough money and be able to go on some vacations and have a nice house and just be financially free. And certainly, money isn't everything, that we know, but it certainly gives you a lot of choices and options, and we wanted to have that. So that's what started for us, as we got into the financial service industry because we felt there was a need to educate people about how money works, right? Because our educational system right now is not structured to teach people really how money works. And so that's what we really wanted to do, right? Our children right now, they don't know the difference between stocks and mutual funds, and they don't know the difference between an ETF or a UIT or an active managed portfolio or a just a passively managed portfolio. And, the millennials are now, they don't even know the difference between a CD and a CD, right? And so our mission was to get financial information out on a grand scale. And then so we were doing that. And then we started to get interviewed, right, by different magazines and different columns and articles. And, they always ask, the number one question we get is, what's the secret to success? Like, what is it? And there really is the secret to that question is that there is no secret, right? There is no secret to success, right? There's so many ingredients that are necessary to become successful at anything that you do in life. And so we were asked that question, and so we started saying, well, you got to change your habits, right? You got to change your mindset. You got to change your desire, right? You got to change your goals and dreams, and just have big dreams instead of small dreams, and stop playing it safe and going after it. And then, of course, my wife once said, you know what? Everything changed for us after we read the book Think and Grow Rich. Now, that book was given to us, my wife and I, by a man by the name of Monty Holm. And Monty was very instrumental in getting us to read that book. And I was also not a reader, right? I didn't really like reading books. I like listening, right? I like to watch, maybe a movie and learn something, or a television show, but reading a book was very difficult for me, right? And so reluctantly, I read this book because it kind of gave me this ultimatum that if I don't read it, that we can't even think the same way. We're not on the same page. And so I read it, and when I read it, I couldn't put it down. That book absolutely changed every perspective that I ever had about everything I had in life. And so I started to apply the principles of this book called Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill in 1937. Now, Napoleon Hill was only 25 years of age when he was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie was one of the wealthiest, most successful stories during the 1930s, the time of depression, the time where there was so much turmoil in this nation. And he went to Napoleon and he said, hey, he says, why don't you go and interview some of my friends? And he spent 25 years on this journey studying some of the most incredible stories ever in American history. And as he started to interview these people, he came back after interviewing 500 people. And after interviewing these people, there were 17 common denominators of all these different people, these success stories. And he took those principles and he put them into a book called Think and Grow Rich. And so when we read it, my wife and I, we started to apply those principles, and I now won't hire a single employee until they read that book. I won't hire anybody on my team until they read that book, right? And so I love to talk with people that are on the same page, that know how to think and grow rich. And so that inspired me as we're looking now today at the baby boomer generation, right? And we're looking at the millennials and the Generation X and Y and Z. This new millennial generation, they don't like to read, right? What they want to do, in fact, a lot of them don't even want to do, they don't even go to movie theaters, unfortunately, right? Everything for them is now what? A digital. It's going online. It's doing some sort of internet TV. It's looking at everything on their phone devices or their iPads or their, whatever, their tablets and so forth. And so we wanted to create a movie that we can take this information that Napoleon Hill did in 1937 and be able to reach out to everyone out there. So we created a movie. We're creating a new book right now that will be released at the same time. We're going on a massive tour around the world to talk to people about this program called Think and Grow Rich Live. So it's not only do you think and grow rich, but how do you think and grow rich? And that's the next segment of our incredible movie. So I get a lot of credit for being the executive producer of this movie, but by no means was I the only one who created this. I mean, there were incredible people like Scott Servine, who is his creativity and what he brings to the screen as the director of this movie, right? Sean Donovan, Karina Donovan, Joel Franco, all these people, right, were such incredible people that brought so much to this movie. Napoleon Hill talks about creating a Mastermind Alliance, right? And there's a great story in the book called the Henry Ford story, right? And Henry Ford basically did not have the answers to everything. But what Henry Ford did is he knew people, right, that knew everything, right? And so when I always tell people, people say always focus on your weaknesses, and every mentor has their own philosophy or strategy or why they say to do that. My opinion, I think that you need to focus on your strengths, right? And then you surround your people that have your weaknesses, right, to really complement you, right, so that you can excel in life. And so I surrounded people, because I don't know a whole lot about directing, right, but I know Scott Serene, right? I don't know anything about producing a movie, but I got, the other people, like the Karina Donovans and the Joel Francos and the Sean Donovans. And so this collective group and myself is what made this movie come to life.
You've been chosen, place your fingerprints on life, and make a difference right now.
You are the defiant human spirit.
Every adversity carries a seed of a greater good.
Dreams matter so much.
What do you want? What do you really want?
What is a normal life? 74, 77 years on Earth? That only equates to 30,000 days on Earth. Time is not running out, but your life is.
Do yourself a favor and really begin to think.
Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich, if you get the book on page 36, he talks about turning desires into gold. And turning desires into gold, there is a precise step-by-step process on how you achieve that. And one of the things that I get people all the time is I'll ask them, I say, well, they said, John, I want to be rich. And I said, well, what's your definition of rich? And they don't even know what that really means. Or they'll say, well, I want to make a lot of money. And I go, well, how much? And they'll say a lot. And then I'll say, well, when do you want to achieve this success by? And they say as soon as possible. Well, here's the thing is that if I gave somebody an invisible ball and I said, take this target, and I've got a big old target right here, and I said, take that ball and I want you to hit this target, I could give you two choices. I could hold it still like this, right? Or I could have it moving back and forth as a target. Well, if I gave them a choice, what would you like me to do? Most people would say, well, hold it still, right? I mean, who says, oh, I want it moving back and forth, right? I want to hold it still. Exactly. Why would they want to do that? It's because it's easier to hit, right? And so here's the thing. If you don't know exactly how much money you want to make, you're probably never going to achieve it. The word a lot is it's so much. What is a lot, right? Is a lot $100,000? Is a lot $10,000? Is a lot $10 million? I mean, what's a lot to you? And so you got to be very precise as to what you want and have a definitive number. Napoleon Hill says you have to have a definitive number. So now I say to somebody, what's a lot? And they'll say $150,000 a year, right? Which may be for some people nothing, but to somebody else it might be a lot. But let's just say that's the number. If it's $150,000, the next question I ask them is by when? And they'll say something like, as soon as possible. Well, what is soon as possible? 10 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? What is that time that you're going to achieve it? And they say next year in 2018. Okay, great. Well, in 2018, there's 365 days. Which day? Oh, during the summer. Okay, well, what part of the summer? So let's be very specific and say August 10th, 2018, I'm going to make $150,000, or I'm going to make $1 million, or I'm going to make $10 million. Now we have a definitive date, and that is your vision, and that's your goal, and that's what you got to do. Let me just tell you something. You have to do it. If not now, he also says that you will never be ready for you to take this journey, for you to achieve your dreams and your goal. Whether you're ready or not, you have to take, the most important thing here is you have to take immediate, massive action. And if you do that, you're going to go to the top. You know, what would I tell people now to be successful, whether you're a millennial or whether you're a senior citizen or whether you're a Generation X or let's start that over. Okay. So people always ask, so really, what is the secret again? Like, as I said, there's really no secret. But whether you're a baby boomer or whether you're a senior citizen or whether you're a millennial, it doesn't matter. One thing I always tell people is age is just a number, right? I mean, Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was 66 years of age, right? So age is nothing. I know people right now that are 15 years of age, they have the maturity of a 50-year-old. And there are 50-year-old men and women who have the behavior and the maturity of a 6-year-old child. And so age is just a number. One thing that never will change is what's right here. What's going on in between these 6 inches. And listen, we all have adversities, right? Everybody has adversities. We had adversities. Making the movie, we had adversities, right? There's adversities in life. But let me just tell you that you cannot stay bitter in life. You have to get better, right? So don't stay bitter, get better. Use all your adversities and lessons that you've had in life to make you a better person. I mean, I have adversities every day, right? But I know that all those adversities have taught me lessons to become a better person. Whether I'm being a better husband, a better brother, a better son, a better businessman, a better father, whatever it is, I want to get better in all areas of my life. You know, and I know one thing is that we're all wired for success, but programmed to fail. But I also know that I'm also an original, right? No one has my fingerprints. Nobody has my eye print. Nobody walks like me, right? No one has my footprints. I'm an original, right? But I don't want to die a copycat like someone else. I want to live my life. I want to see who John Shin could possibly be. You know, people say, wow, you look at you, you're there, you made it. I'm like, I haven't even made it. I'm just starting right now, right? And I know that with this movie and with the books and everything else and our tours, and we're going to be going out there and reaching people, not just here in the United States and North America. This is a worldwide phenomenon. This is an actual movement. One of the producers of our movie, Karina Donovan, said that this is a movement. You know, at our premiere, we had people from all over the world, people who came in from Russia. They came in from China, they came in from the Czechoslovakia, from Prague, right? From Sweden, from London, from the Philippines, and they came in from Canada, I mean, from South Africa. This is a worldwide phenomenon. People are coming from all over the world because they collectively want to help make sure that we get this message out. And I want everybody to understand that if you think and grow rich, you can achieve anything. So one of the questions I've been getting a lot where people have been calling and texting and, you know, on social media is, when is the movie coming out? When and where can I see it? And I'm so excited to let people know that we were going to have a theatrical release in January of 2018, and it'll be in limited theaters throughout the United States. And of course, you can also go and get DVDs and Blu-rays, and there'll be all the digital downloads for the millennials to have access to this information and have an opportunity to watch it. And if you want more from me and you want to have some tips or a tip of the day, you can certainly follow me on Instagram at John Shin, and I'm also on Facebook, and I've also got my own site at johncshin.com. I'm John Shin, and this is my voice.